Yvonne Witter, who is an OS champion and does some fantastic work in the Peak District, encouraging other people to get outside. So hello Yvonne, and thank you for having this chat with me.
Oh, hello, Debbie, and thank you for inviting me to have a chat with you. It gives me a good break away from the busy and working life.
Well, we have something in common, Yvonne, because I am actually Sheffield born and bred. I grew up in Sheffield and sort of know the Peak District very well. I did a lot of orienteering growing up around in the Peak District, and I know that you love to get out there as well.
Yeah, I really love getting out there. As I always say, to everyone, Peak District National Park is on my doorstep. I just jump in a bus or two buses and I'm there. And I feel like I'm in a different world because it's a different environment. There's more of a feel to the countryside that I'm used to in Jamaica when I go out into the Peak District National Park.
So what drives you to go outside and enjoy the area that you live?
I think one of the things that gets me outside is to be able to get away from the busy working life, just to relax on the weekend, do something different. And I think the main focus for me is to recharge, get out there, recharge, enjoy what I can see that I don't have, in my backyard, that I don't have when I walk out on the road, because I live near to a very busy main road, and there's a lot of traffic that I can hear when I'm in the house. But when I actually leave the house, get on the bus and get out to the national park, to see all the beauty, to see nature, to see wildlife, and just to absorb, everything that is there for me to see, and to kind of maybe digest those, and to come home and write about it and reflect on my feeling, reflect on how it's impacted on me and made a difference to me getting out of the four walls and the busy city of Sheffield.
I love the fact that earlier on you said about going on the bus to the Peak District, especially when we're thinking about how we can reduce carbon footprint, the fact that you go on public transport, how easy do you find that?
Well, for me, it's quite easy. I live 2 minutes away from the bus stop in my area. So I just get out, get on that bus, get into the city centre, go to the bus station terminus, and then get a bus straight to the Peak District. For some people, it may not be that easy, but I do encourage, when we do group activities out into the Peak District, encourage the participants to come by public transport. Some of them are car owners and they will leave cars at home, which is really good, and I admire them for that. So we get on the bus or we get on the train because we want to make it accessible for everybody, and we want to make it cost effective as well. So if there's a destination that we're going to and it's difficult to go by public transport, we will make sure that we car share. So we're, really protecting the environment and making sure that, the carbon footprints, we're not increasing a lot of cars going into the Peak Park, but, the bus is accessible, more than one route, and that is really good. Ever since I've been traveling on the bus from the Sheffield interchange, and we organize, we know what time we're going, we get there half an hour early to make sure we get on the bus, especially on a very busy day in the summer when we know that a lot of people may be going out into the Peak District. We try to get there early. And to ensure that the families who are coming, they know the right fare, we've got the change, and they have an understanding of where to get off. So I give them the full details. So if they decide to go on their own, they also develop that confidence and knowledge to get out on their own or with their own families.
And that's something that I really would like to talk to you about, the fact that you are very keen to get people from different communities who wouldn't normally access the countryside. You give them that encouragement and that inspiration and that support to get outdoors. So would you, Yvonne, tell me a little bit more about the Mosaic project that you work with?
So I'm the chair of the Peak District Mosaic, and we set up as a charity after we became independent of the Peak District National Park. So we were working in partnership with the Peak District National Park, and they supposed to set up as a charity with support from Derbyshire Dale CVS. So we started with trustees, and we continue doing what we usually do as champions. We were champions with Campaign for National Parks. So we should say some grandchildren of the Campaign for National Parks. So we became mother and fathers to some new champions in the Peak District National Park. And I think the main aim and the focus of the Peak District Mosaic is to encourage families to access the national park, families from different communities, family who may not know about the national park, or families who want to go out and to do recreational activities, or just to go and have a simple walk or maybe picnic in the national park, somewhere that is different, somewhere that they can learn about the countryside and to be able to develop that confidence to introduce other people to the national park. So ever since we became a charity, we have received funding from the National Lottery to train and introduce 15 new other champions from Sheffield and Manchester to the national park. So those champions develop the skills based on the learning and the training over a couple of weekends, residentials and day sessions that they've developed about map reading, planning walks, planning event, risk assessment, going to different places, and just having a better understanding about the history of the national park, what makes the national park so special, learning about wildlife, biodiversity, and just kind of condensing all that knowledge and skills to develop their own group activities. We see different activities happening because when they do that, we are able to reimburse their travel expenses because they submit travel form to us and they let us know who they're taking out and they send us picture. And that is really good to know that when we recruit and invest in other people, we have a return from that investment by they developing and going out and introducing other people to the national park. And that make us even a bigger family, even a bigger community of the Peak District Mosaic champions.
So you're really thinking about longevity and how you can grow, from the small seed to the great big oak tree, as they say, to show an awareness that it is possible to get out. And I think that is just marvellous. In fact, I did meet a group of you when we were at Holling Cross. We were there celebrating the 70th anniversary of the national parks, and there were so many people there, but I do remember seeing you in the far distance as you were climbing up. It was a fantastic day, wasn't it?
It was a very fantastic day. There were 25 of us from Sheffield, and there were about 4 who were visiting the Peak District National Park for the first time. So, and although there were some people who were not able-bodied, they didn't go up to Ordnance Cross, but they did have a little tour around Castleton in the visitor centre, and had time to just view the countenance, just see the landscape for what it is, even though they weren't able to climb up to Ordnance Cross. But they enjoyed it. The feedback was really good. They enjoyed getting out, meeting new people. And, as Matt encouraged us at the beginning, mingle, make sure you mingle, get to know people, talk to people. And they took opportunity of that. So they could tell me after, while we were on our way home at the bus stop and on the bus, the people that they've met, the things that they've learned. And it was so good for them to get out, to be able to get a better understanding of the things that I do and promote in the national park, and it encourages them to start coming now with me, because some of them have never come and activities that I've organized or other champions have organized. So that event was like a stepping stone for some of those individuals to get out and to know that the national park is not just somewhere for just people who have their own vehicle are not just for people who grow up in the countryside, but it's accessible to people from all walks of life, no matter where you live, no matter what community that you're in, it is there and it is free access. Just go there, treat it like you would treat your backyard or your local park, and just respect, what is there and enjoy it like anybody else do.
Well, on the day of the celebrations, I went up in my train hopper up to the top. I had to do an alternative route because the route that you did involved climbing over stiles, which is very much what I do anyways, is looking at alternative ways of accessing beautiful areas, beautiful walks. So I got up to the summit a lot faster than you guys did because you kept stopping and doing a bit of filming and Matt was talking.
Yes.
So I had the absolute privilege of sitting up at the trig point and watching this snake of people coming up. It was a marvelous, marvelous sight. And then, everybody was shepherded round to stand round the trig point. Oh, I did have a tear in my eye. I always get a bit weepy about things like this because it was just so wonderful to see so many different people from so many different walks of life, from the ramblers, from you guys, from the old, the young. It was just such a community atmosphere, and I got really.
It was a beautiful. It was an amazing day. It was for me. The day was in the national park. It was a rainbow of communities.
Oh,
when you see the snake of people climbing and the different colors, for me, it was a walking rainbow from Castleton Visitor Center, climbing all the way up to Ordnance Cross. And one of the beauty, I think one of the things that stood out to me was the kindness, the welcoming that we receive and other people receive from others who are so experienced and knowledgeable about the countryside, that embrace those who were new there. I remember there was a volunteer from the National Trust who really took it upon himself, and one of the rangers took it upon themselves to support some of the ladies, especially two ladies that were in our group. And one of them, Matt, he went and got a piece of branch for that lady to be able to use to kind of get over the stile and over the steep areas, because she's not used to that environment and used to that terrain. And they went and did that. And one of them even took her bag and carried her bag for her. And there's a lovely picture of this lady, Daphne, with one of our champions, just before she got up to Ordnance Cross. And it's just awesome to see her just looking from where the champion Elaine is kind of indicating or showing her, you've come from all the way down there, you have done well. And that picture says 1,000 words. It is awesome. And that was an achievement for her to get up there with that support. And it shows that when you get up there, you're not always on your own. Just speak to people, say hello. People are really friendly. People are really helpful. And it's always that, some people may not know the whole area, but by sharing information and talking together, you get to a better understanding that some people are new to this, but the main thing is that we all get out there and share and enjoy.
Absolutely. One of the things that you sort of really brought home in this conversation is it's about baby steps, and it is a park. The national parks are for everyone, and you don't have to be the long distance hiker. You don't have to be the mountaineer. You don't have to be the wild swimmer. If you just want to come into the national park and enjoy a picnic by the river, or just appreciate some green open space, then the national parks are there for you, whatever your ability. And very much, we're singing from the same song sheets, aren't we? That You know,
Yes,
mine
we are.
making the inaccessible accessible. I do it from a wheelchair point of view. You're doing it from a cultural point of view. You know, whatever your background, and I think that that is a message that we've got to get across to the many. I know a lot of people in the cities will have really suffered during the time of COVID, during the lockdown. You know, I can't possibly imagine what it's been like for some families. I live on the fells of Cumbria. I'm surrounded by greenery and sheep. Sometimes I long for people company because I'm so, no. But for
Okay.
people who have been stuck in the houses during this lockdown, must have been quite stressful and quite hard for a lot of families. You know, have you had that kind of message as well?
Yes, I have. I just wanted to go back to one of the points you made. As well as doing it as a cultural focus or a cultural, what should I say, activity, I think it's important to emphasize that I also do it to be able to manage and health and well-being. So it's a good way of getting out to manage health and well-being, to ensure that, you know, there's somewhere that you can go and feel that when you've done a 6 miles walk or done a cycle ride, that you have been able to de-stress, being able to kind of unwind and kind of switch off from, you know, anything that's going on in your life that you feel is hindering you from progressing or hindering your welfare and things like that. So those are some of the things. It's about managing your mental health, managing your lifestyle, that when you're at home, you're so wrapped up in work and everything. But when you take that time for yourself to switch off and just kind of, I'm just gonna wash myself into this, but there's no water. I'm just gonna surround myself. I'm just gonna hug all the rocks and just kind of view and embrace the trees and take in just that five senses. You're gonna smell, you're gonna listen, you're gonna see, you're gonna taste, you know, and be able to do that in a way that makes you feel you've been for some massage. So you come away feeling that you've had the countryside therapeutical sessions without somebody touching you, but nature has introduced you to aromatherapy session that you will always go back for. Yeah.
And
so if I go back to, sorry.
I was going to say, and a lot of people miss that during these sort of difficult times.
Yes. Yeah, they have. And for me, it's been a very, very difficult time. I am a very active person, walking, cycling, you know, running. And I find it that it's not as easy to get out to where you would love to go, away from home into the Peak District, because of COVID, because of the restriction and things like that, in terms of traveling, in terms of accessing the countryside, to make sure that we adhere to government guideline, and also to protect the national park, that what we're doing, we're not going out there not caring, but we do care. So we listen to what the National Park Authority has to say and just abide by that. So for me, people have been talking to me. I've kept in contact with champions, I've kept in contact with the trustees and people who participate in the activities, and just encouraging them to find somewhere on the doorstep, a local park, to be safe, get out there, do something, if it's even 10 minutes, you know, in the daytime. What I have been doing is, I'm very fortunate to have a very big 70 acres hill on my doorstep, where there's a golf course and a park, a park. And it is very, very easily accessible, which is 10 minutes walk from my house, which is really good. So I go there in the morning before work, because that is when I find it most useful or convenient for me to slip out of the house at 7 o'clock and do a 3 miles walk. Then I started doing it with an NHS worker keeping to our 2-meter distance and introducing her to the route further away from the local park into the woodland, and just letting her see the different sights from there, looking over to Derbyshire. And she really appreciated that. Then I started cycling in June, which was part of the Move More month in Sheffield, and the National Love to Ride. So I went out and thought, during the month of June, I'm going to set myself a goal to cycle 100 miles. I did 110. So one of that cycle journey I did with my 2 grandchildren, 15 and 8-year-old, and my sister, and my 8-year-old grandson cycled 14 miles with me on that day. I'm very, very proud of Antonio. Yeah. So some of the routes I did with a retired ranger from Sheffield City Council, who is now a self-employed cyclist trainer. Yes. And most of what I did in the evening after work. So I would walk in the morning, work in the day, and then 7 o'clock, I'll go and do a 6 or 8 or 12 miles. And it really and truly empowered me. It really and truly helped me with my mental health, because I just adjust to working from home and just sitting one place and having to be able to function the way I'm always expected to function, because it's not me.
Yes.
But some of the participants who have been on our previous activities have been telling me that they've been doing walks, they've been going out near the home and doing it with families and trying to keep active. You know, I'm encouraging people to get the bike. I've encouraged people to go to repair the bike, and I've repaired bikes and donated 3 bikes. And I find that really rewarding, that not only am I getting out and encouraging, but others are reporting to me how it has made them get out and do more than what they normally do. However, they miss the group interaction, the group walking that kind of get them out, sharing information, sharing ideas, having a laugh together. That fun activity of a group, no matter what age, you know, making mistakes, laughing about, you know, what you've done over the week, and how people have really, you know, see the difference, you know, in getting out to different activity. People have developed that knowledge to say, okay, I've been here before and I know where to go and which bus to take, you know, and loving that. I think I admire that there's a difference with being at home and being able to go for a short walk than accessing the big countryside where you're roaming and you have a guide leading you, you know, and you can relax and don't have to worry of that going the wrong way, and they miss that, you know. So we're going to get back to that starting tomorrow. So we're having our first group walk on Saturday.
Fantastic. I was just going to say, sorry, I was interrupting. Like the OS map now has got the green spaces on that you can see where you live. Even in urban areas, the map will show the green spaces around you, so that you can, you know, hopefully everybody has some access to a green space wherever they are. So, you know,
I think that's really,
just listening to you, Yvonne, you are so positive. And so your enthusiasm, you are like, oh, you're like a magnet. I just want to be attached to you, because the love of the outdoors just oozes out of you. And the one thing I want to pick up on is, you've had your 50th birthday, and most people would settle for a birthday cake and maybe a party and maybe a few drinks with friends. But you did something a little bit different to that, didn't you?
Oh, you've been reading enough about me. Yes, for my 50th birthday, I set myself a challenge, a big challenge, and kind of tried to keep it a secret from a lot of people. And I achieved it. I achieved my goal. I overcome barriers, and I ran a marathon in September. It was the Robin Hood marathon in Nottingham for my 50th, few days, I think it was the 28th or 27th of September, a few days or a week before my 50th birthday on the 5th of October. That was nearly 6 years ago. So I did that. So that was in 2014. I ran the marathon. It was something that I really wanted to challenge myself to do, not to have a party, but to put into practice all the training, all the skills, all the determination, all the commitment, and to bundle that in 26 miles. My endurance, I am not a fast runner, but you can give me goal for endurance. I will endure to the end. As I say, the race is not only for the swift, but for those who endure it to the end. So I start, I always finish. That is me. If I stop and to say, oh my God, this is too hard, I'm gonna not do it. And that is one thing about me. If I say I'm going to do something, I'll put my mind to it. I'll put the work into it. I'll put the training. I used to get up 6 o'clock in the morning, get my watch, you know, get a ripe banana, and off I go. And I'll do my 12 miles, my 14 miles before it comes up. And just imagine me training in July and August for a race in September. But I started training on Christmas Day, 2013. So I did the 10 miles on that day. And then I just develop and develop. And during that period, during the training, I was injured and I had to come back and start all over again from 6 miles. But you know what? I did it. I did it with the support of my running club, which is Sheffield Running Club members, the few people who knew. I had one of the guys who have done marathons before emailing me weekly and a motivation and giving me tips, you know, and you know, just encouraging me as I go along, and that was really good. That was really good to do. One of my running colleague, Alexa, who did the half marathon that day, took her bike with her. So when she finished the half marathon, she got on her bike, she mapped out the route, got on her bike, came and support me, took pictures and updated people on Facebook who knew that I was doing the marathon. How amazing that is. That is absolutely, that was like a manager, you know, following me, making sure I was safe. It was awesome. I feel good. I would love to do another one. I've got 4 years to go before I'm 60. I would love to do another one, but I'll see how it goes. Maybe I'll just stick to the cycling.
So Yvonne, how can people contact you to get involved in some of your walks or to find out more about the Mosaic project? How can they find out more?
So what we do, I have a database of all the participants, of people who have been on the activity, and some of it is by word of mouth, some of it by email. As I said, we haven't got a website, but what we do, if, for example, when we, a few years ago, I would do a poster and leave it in the community center, in churches. I do it at work, in the community, and we just ask champions to promote it to their communities, to their friends, to their families. Sometimes we get more people when we do an event, a joint event in partnership with other organizations, or if we plan a big event. For example, when we do an annual event to Chatsworth House, we will have 150 or more people. So we will tell the champions, and then they will inform their community, whether in their churches, in the place of work, and then each one tell another family, and that's how we do it. As I said, you know, we want to be sustainable. We want to make sure that we keep in contact with people and for people to know about us. So I think the next step for us is to try and acquire some funding to develop a website and to get someone to maybe do some part-time working with us, to go out and do that development work, whereby we can develop in what we're doing, by having a website and for people to book for our event, so we can advertise our event. So at the current state, it's the participant that we email and let them know what we're doing. So I devise a schedule of walks, activities for a period of up to 6 months. and email that to people and then ask them to share. So as they share, those individuals are then added to that database, and that's how we do it at the present moment.
And people can find you on Twitter and Facebook, can they?
Yes, people can find us on Twitter. Facebook is slowly developing. One of our champions in Manchester is doing the Facebook, and that is slowly developing. But at the moment, I usually share feedback or pictures of events that we do on Twitter, so people are aware of what we're doing. As long as the participant give consent for me to share photograph, I usually do that.
That is fantastic. Well, I will certainly be sharing your Twitter feed so people can start to follow you and start to see what you are up to and hopefully join in. But Yvonne, it's just been an absolute pleasure to chat with you. You've really got me fired up to get outside and to really embrace the countryside. And as you say, when you're having a hard day, there's nothing better than getting outside and just, even for 10 minutes, just being amongst nature is so great for de-stressing and making you feel so much better. So Yvonne, thank you.
Before you go, Debbie, one of the highlights of working for, I remember I was just sharing with somebody, I think it was a researcher at the university who we did some work with in my workplace. And she emailed me, hope you're doing well or whatever. And I just said, I'm very stressed. And that led to a lovely walk to a route that I've never done in the Peak District. So I thought, right, 5 o'clock, I'm finishing work. And I met her, you know, went by the bus, met her partway in the car, and then she took me out. And we went on a lovely walk, a viewing point over Derwent. That was awesome. It was so good to just switch off at 5 o'clock, get out there. And, you know, that's a part I've never been to see the whole of Derwent, you know. And as much as I was in pain from sciatica, I took my time, I got back, and I was in less pain.
Yes.
It was just what the doctor ordered. And sometimes when you share with people how you're feeling, it's amazing the outcome of that conversation, whether it's just to say, I'm not okay. But I did say I was feeling stressed, and she offered, you know, it's not somebody that I would say is a close friend, associate, but it was good of her to think about my well-being, because we were working on a project about isolation and loneliness, and that's how we developed that communication via email. And I really, really admire and really appreciate her offering me to go for a walk, and I enjoyed it, really enjoyed it. So that is something that we need to do often. Share how we are feeling, and you'll be amazed that support is out there for you.
Absolutely.
So thank you for today.
No, thank you, Yvonne. And I so much look forward to sharing this with the outdoor guide community. I think a lot of people will be watching this video, and I'm sure you will have inspired a lot of people to get outside, enjoy the countryside, look after your own well-being, and help look after other people. So Yvonne, thank you. It's been great.
Thank you, Deb.
Bye.
Let me see.